1967, Scott McKenzie released this as a single, and it was really an invitation to come to the Summer of Love in San Francisco. Over 100,000 youth from all over the world descended on the area. John Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas wrote that song for the Monterey Pop Festival, and he thought that's what the song was going to be, but oh no, it rocketed on the charts. It hit #4 in the US and #1 in the UK, making it an overnight sensation. Just the whole idea of hippiedom and the phenomenon of the hippie became an overnight sensation because of that one song. The idea of changing our attire and expressing our freedom through clothing, experimenting with psychedelic drugs, and the music that came out of the hippie movement changed people's lives. It was music with a message. It was music that represented a movement. It was music that moved people, and according to Wikipedia, you didn't even have to take the drugs to get high on the music. Isn't that nice? Feels so much better the next day. But music with a message was something that was started in America. It was actually started by the Civil Rights Movement. The song "We Shall Overcome" became a mantra of what that movement represented. And the music that came out of the hippie movement represented a whole nother experience. Music with a message was something that the poets could now set their minds to. It was something that people as hippies, or even if they wanted to be hippies or they were pretend hippies or had dads, like I said, as Republicans, they could use the music to go on an inward journey. In 1971, Don McLean wrote this song, American Pie. He said, "Do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save your mortal soul?" Bye, bye, Miss American Pie.
Drove my Chevy to the levee, that the levee was dry.
Okay, next. So let's play a game. Because in 1952, there was a game show on NBC Radio called Name That Tune. And in 1972, it went on television and became extremely popular. So here are the rules for Name That Tune. When you recognize it, raise your hand. Don't shout out the answer and spoil it for everybody else until, we at least have 4 or 5 hands. So are you ready? Okay, number 1. Yeah. Just know saffron's mad about me. Okay, that's number 1. Let's do another one. It has a really long intro, so you gotta listen carefully and pretend. Can we go to the next one, Gary? Pretend, because this is a spiritual community and we don't do that here. Are we getting it? Are we getting it?
Yeah.
Are we getting it? Yeah. Okay, so let's play the next one. Play next one. Because they get more fun.
Yeah.
You're an expert. You can go on the show and win $100,000. Yeah, sounds familiar a little bit. Okay, do the next one. Do the next one. And can you do it a little bit louder? Who's there? These long intros. It's just got to have a little flavor. Ready? Here we go. Oh, these long intros.
White room with black curtains.
Okay. Who sang it? Who sang it? Janis Joplin. Okay.
Yeah. Purple haze.
Yeah, okay, you can say it. I mean, who would know Jimi Hendrix in church? Now, there's a lot of songs that started this way. Are you sure? Okay, sure. Shout it out. Clearance, CCR, and it's Green River. Okay, we just got a couple more.
White rabbit.
Oh yeah, one pill makes you larger, the other one makes you small. The ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. Jefferson Airplane and White Rabbit has a pill. Okay, so the next one. You got it in like 3 notes. It has lots of good Bible words.
One toke over the line, sweet Jesus, one toke over the line.
Okay.
Toke over the line.
Thank you. Okay, I have to show the picture. Okay, so that's the last one. Is music with a message? And some of the messages we can talk about in a spiritual community. The whole idea, the whole impetus, and the birth of the hippie phenomenon came out of the counterculture movement. And it's the same energy that actually started the unity movement. So it was a reaction to the social, it was a reaction to political, it was a reaction to physical needs that weren't being met. When unity was founded by Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, it was because Myrtle Fillmore needed a healing, and she had to turn to anti-establishment methods in order to find a method that actually healed her body. She turned away from the established church, she turned away from the established organization of religion because she couldn't find the answers there. So yes, unity follows the teachings of Jesus. Yes, unity teaches universal truth, and that's what she and her husband and Charles did. They taught these universal truths, but it was outside of the context of organized religion. Unity didn't start out as a church. It didn't start out as a spiritual movement. They had their meetings on Sunday afternoons so as to not conflict or coincide with organized church. They had their meetings during the week so as not to conflict with organized established religion. They were anti-establishment. Unity, were anti-establishment from the get-go. The hippie phenomenon that came out of the counterculture came out because of civil rights, because we believed in the equality of all people. The hippie movement believed in the opposition to Vietnam. They believed that war was not the answer. The hippie movement believed in the right to govern our own bodies, whether it was expressing ourselves through sexual freedom or women's rights or gay liberation. These were the basic tenets of the counterculture of the hippie movement. What I want you to know is you don't have to agree with everything. You don't have to say, oh yes, I know and I believe exactly that. What I want you to feel is the consciousness behind it. I want you to feel where these ideas came from. I want you to go behind and go underneath and go deeper to really look at what the heart of the hippie message was. The heart of the hippie message is about peace, and it's about love. All right, here's the trivia on Heart of Gold. Do you know what two famous singers did backup for Neil Young? James Taylor and...
I was just going to say Crazy Boy.
Oh, no. James Taylor and Linda Ronstadt did the backup on that song. And do you know why Bob Dylan turned it off every time it came on the radio? It irritated him. He thought Neil Young should have given him that song. He said, that is a song that is perfect for me. You should have given me that song. He turned it off every time he heard it on the radio. Heart of Gold was in 2 movies, Iceman in 1984, and in 2010 it was in the movie Eat, Pray, Love. Eat, Pray, Love, written by Elizabeth Gilbert, a person who, like Deepak Chopra and Louise Hay, articulate and teach the same dogma, the same philosophy, the same underpinnings of truth that are taught by the Unity movement. Isn't that amazing? Think about what Oprah, as she features all these people on her show, think about what Oprah has done for the consciousness of the planet by teaching and offering and exposing and opening up and sharing these ideas. It's phenomenal. Hippies were seekers. Hippies were seekers, and one of the ways that they found to be with like-minded people was to go into communes, to create places that are still in existence, like the farm in Tennessee. They communed together. They were invited by Timothy Leary to turn on, tune in, and drop out. Remember that? Well, guess what's on Unity of Wilmington's webpage? Tune in, turn on, and tap into the loving presence of the divine. We are so similar. When we take the best of Unity and we take the best of what hippies are, we are so similar, and I believe that this is our evolution. We are seekers. We're called to self-awareness. Then we're students. We're called to learn. We're supporters. We're called to put it into practice. We are stewards. We are called to live it. We are servants. We're called to share and teach. If there were only 2 things that you remembered about the hippie movement, there were only 2 things that you remember, 2 lessons to take away, 2 lessons to keep embedded in your consciousness forever, it would be this: peace and love. Peace and love. Charles Fillmore defines love as that energy that emanates from the heart that wants nothing but the best for the object of its affection. Peace is the harmony and the tranquility that we find when we're in direct alignment with divine mind. Jesus said in the book of John, he says, love one another. He also says, peace I give to you. Can you imagine what our life would be like if everybody we met, we had that energy that emanated from our heart that desired nothing but the best for the object of our affection, which is you and you and you. Can you imagine a world where we have the energy emanating from our heart, where we want nothing but the best for the object of our affections, for the people who live in Charleston, South Carolina, for the people who live in Afghanistan, for the people who live in Tibet and in Syria, and the people who used to live in Syria who now live somewhere else. Nothing but the best for them. Can you imagine a world filled with peace, with harmony and tranquility because of our oneness? The oneness that we teach, we practice, we share, we live. Our oneness with the divine. One of the great protest activity that the hippies had were sit-ins. And I invite you right now into one giant sit-in.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky.
you to come into this time of meditation, sitting, and holding this consciousness. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. We come back to this time and this place, listening to the words of the master teacher Jesus is translated from the Aramaic. Father, mother, birther, and breath of all, create a space inside us and fill it with your presence. Let oneness now prevail. Your one desire that moves through ours as energy fills all forms. Give us this day our physical and spiritual nourishment. Untangle the knots of error that bind us as we release others. Don't let appearances make us forgetful of the source, but free us to act appropriately. From you, age to age, flow the glorious harmonies of life. May these statements be fertile ground from which our future grows. Amen and amen.
Vibration, life is vibration.
is the vibration of the power and the presence that is God moving through us, vibrating us, bringing us up, lifting and elevating our thinking, our minds, our souls, our hearts, our consciousness in unity. So this is an opportunity right now to vibrate at a different level, to come into a consciousness of giving that's different than any that we've come to up at this point in time. To recognize the truth that the vibration of the Lord of all of us, the consciousness that is, that breathes us, allows us to decide what it is to give, what it is to open ourselves up, what it is to receive abundance from the ethers, as Charles Fillmore would say. It all exists in the ethers already, abundance in its entirety. And we have an opportunity to express that abundance in this moment now. Through our hearts, which is where abundance begins. The consciousness of abundance begins in our heart.
Amen.
In our heart. So as we open up in our heart, as we hold our gifts, our love offerings, our tithes in our hands with an open heart, we affirm this truth. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it